Today we're diving into something absolutely shocking. All the news lately has been shocking. The Pentagon is reportedly asking for $200 billion to fund the war of aggression on Iran. Yes, $200 billion. That is not a typo. And the ripple effects, well, they're already hitting your wallet. Gas prices, inflation, even jobs. So let's break this all down in plain English. Let's discuss what is actually happening. Behind the scenes, the Pentagon has submitted a request to the White House asking for around $200 billion to support its war of aggression on Iran. As far as $200 billion, I think that number could move, obviously. It takes money to kill bad guys. So we're going back to Congress and our folks there to ensure that we're properly funded for what's been done, for what we may have to do in the future. Ensure that our ammunition is everything's refilled, and not just refilled, but above and beyond. Now, this hasn't officially gone to Congress just yet, but it is already causing serious tensions in Washington. To put that number into perspective, $200 billion is nearly a quarter of the entire U.S. annual defense budget. That is massive. And even within the Republican Party, there are people who are raising eyebrows. Some lawmakers are basically saying, wait a second, what exactly are we paying for here? And that is the key issue for them, because right now there is very little clarity on how long this funding would even last, or what specific operations it would fund, it would cover. The Trump administration doesn't have a plan. It is panicking, but one thing is very clear. This suggests that the United States is preparing for a much deeper and longer conflict than initially expected. The Quincy Institute recently posted the United States is spending at least $891,000 every day on Operation Epic Fury, or rather Epic Fail, and that's $10,323 per second. As of today, we have already spent $17.5 billion on the war on Iran. Earlier this week, our national debt hit $39 trillion. This was actually 5 months after it had hit $38 trillion. The speed with which we're hitting it, another record high, is shocking. It is absolutely shocking. Now, here's where it gets even more intense. In just the first 6 days of this war, the United States reportedly spent over $11 billion. 6 days, $11 billion. So you can start to see how quickly costs can spiral out of control. And remember, this isn't happening in a vacuum. Lawmakers have already been fighting over whether this war is even justified. It is not justified. This is not a just war. But of course, politics certainly gets in the way of calling things what they actually are. Most Democrats are actually strongly opposed, calling it unnecessary and poorly planned. Some are pointing out that the same politicians who said that the United States couldn't afford social programs are now pushing for hundreds of billions in war spending. All of that is true. Anyone can do research online to verify those statements. But on the flip side, many Republicans support continuing the military campaign in Iran, but even they are starting to be more divided when it comes to the price tag. So politically, this is shaping up to be a major battle on Capitol Hill. Now, let's talk about what this means for you and the broader U.S. economy, because while Washington debates, the economic consequences are already hitting us, and they are hitting us hard, and they're hitting the rest of the world as well. In my recent video that I just uploaded yesterday, I discussed that Asian countries are now rationing fuel. So after Israel hit South Pars gas field, the largest gas field in the world, to be more precise, oil prices began to soar. We're talking about oil prices are now up over 40%. Gas prices are jumping more than 75 cents per gallon. Diesel hitting over $5 per gallon. Brent is now trading above $110 per barrel on March the 19th. And it's not just fuel. Higher energy costs ripple through everything. Shipping, food, flights, heating. Basically, your entire cost of living is affected by this. The Federal Reserve is now openly saying we don't know how bad this could get. That's what Fed Chair Jerome Powell said yesterday. Fed Chair Jerome Powell warned that rising energy prices are pushing inflation higher again, just when things were starting to stabilize. So yes, expect much higher gas prices, and as you already know, energy costs impact the price that we pay everywhere. So this is going to get very painful for many people worldwide, including for millions of those of us here in the United States, those of us who oppose this war of choice. But of course, the government is using our tax dollars to wage a war instead of investing in education and hospitals and roads. That's the truth. And here's the tricky part. When inflation goes up, the Fed usually keeps interest rates higher. That means more expensive loans, higher credit card interest, and tougher conditions for businesses. So now we're in this really weird and concerning situation where inflation is still sticky, economic growth is uncertain, and that's to put it diplomatically, and the Federal Reserve is basically saying, we're flying blind here. We have no idea how bad this is going to get. On top of that, the job market is starting to show cracks. The latest report, as you already know if you watch my previous videos, the latest report showed a loss of 92,000 jobs in February alone. That is not catastrophic by any stretch of imagination, but it's definitely not a good sign, especially when combined with layoffs and rising costs. So people are feeling squeezed from all sides. We now deal with higher prices, with job uncertainty, and now the possibility of massive government spending on the war. That's a lot of winning, isn't it? Even Powell admitted it could take years for people to feel financially stable again. And just to make things even more complicated, there is a political storm that is brewing around the Federal Reserve itself. There are ongoing legal battles involving Fed leadership investigations and even attempts to remove key officials. That is creating uncertainty at the institution that is tasked with stabilizing our economy. So not only is the economy under pressure, but the people managing it are facing pressure as well. So where does all of this leave us? Well, you've got a potential $200 billion war funding request, a divided Congress, rising global tensions, and an economy that's already on edge. The big question now is, will Congress approve this kind of spending, and what happens if they do? Because history does show that these costs rarely stay fixed. Wars tend to get more expensive. Mission creep expands, and it is bound to become another Vietnam or another Iraq or another Afghanistan, but likely this is going to be much worse. And in the meantime, everyday Americans and people worldwide are already feeling the impact of this war of choice, of this war of aggression on Iran. They're feeling it at the pump, at the grocery store, and in their financial future. Let me know what you think about this unfolding crisis. I would love to hear from you. Comment below, leave us a comment, and also drop a location, maybe your state or your country, and let us know what's going on where you live in terms of energy prices and the cost of living. We would love to hear from you.
Thanks for watching International Trade Talk, where we simplify global trade and business insights for you.
If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on the notification bell.
Watch our next video to stay updated with the latest global trade trends and market insights. See you in the next episode of International Trade Talk.